Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Sarah Sharnover. As you may know, I write horror predominantly. Sometimes I wander off into other genres. Full disclosure, this is the second time I've recorded this because I decided to not bother to record the audio. So we are here for number 2, and I'm doing my best here. So I have promised repeatedly for spooky season I would do some spooky season stuff, and because of the fact that I'm not great at acting, as I mentioned before, I am not going to do any, spooky videos. So for that reason, we're going to talk about some horror tropes today. Tropes are kind of hallmarks of a genre. For instance, in romance, you have the trope of the meet cute. Like, you have these little tropes. These are things that happen within the genre that serve a purpose, and thus you see them repeated throughout the genre. Some people really like tropes, some people really dislike tropes, some people have an opinion of specific tropes, some people don't have an opinion of specific tropes, and that is just kind of the nature of tropes. For reference, all of my source material is down below. That will be in the description, so go ahead and check that out. Also, the authors who wrote those articles that I referenced, not directly, but I just kind of read through them and used them for my notes or whatever. They all put a lot of work into their work, so go check it out and make sure that they get your clicks and stuff. So we're going to talk a little bit about some common tropes, how they're used, why they're important, why they're used. I'm going to reference movies a little more than books, and the reason is that movies are more accessible because of their shorter length. It may just be easier for me to reference a movie. It's not going to be a whole lot, but occasionally I might reference a movie because that is easier to ensure that other people have seen a 2-hour movie than an 18-hour book or a 46-hour book or a 22-hour book or whatever. So the first trope I want to talk about is isolation. Isolating your characters is super important to ensuring that the tone remains very tense. Now, isolation is not required. None of these tropes are required, but this is what they're used for. When you isolate characters from the world around them, you keep them from being able to call the police when there's a killer. You keep them from being able to call a witch hunter when there's a witch trying to kill them. You keep them from being able to call for help from someone who can bring a stake for them to kill the vampire. Are sawing because there's roofing happening. People have to have roofs, and that's just the way it works. So those are the things that are really important to that trope because, if you have a sinkhole to hell open up in your yard, you might want to call your crazy uncle who makes his own bullets to come and bring explosives to go blow up the hole. But you can't call your crazy uncle because you're out in the middle of nowhere and he's back home where you used to be or whatever. That brings us to our second trope, which is the new house trope, and that works very similar to the isolation trope. However, it adds on some extra layers of uncertainty. When you have the new house trope, you have the house is foreign to you, the neighborhood is foreign to you, the neighbors are foreign to you. So it makes it harder for your characters to feel like they know what's going to happen next. So with the new house trope, while your characters are in a normal setting, they are also in an uncertain normal setting. So when your characters are in this setting, they don't have the same support systems that they would have if they were, say, in their original home. So for instance, you can't call your best friend to come over because your best friend isn't down the street. She didn't grow up here. This is the new neighborhood. This is the new house. That also allows for things like a haunting and things like that. That's why you end up with, we didn't know this house was haunted. Well, because they just got here. So the new house trope can be really useful in a lot of different areas. The next trope is physical separation. Separating the group, making it so that everyone isn't together anymore by whatever means necessary. This can be very useful because it heightens the anxiety and allows for things like jump scares, false jump scares, creepy things to happen to someone that they can't really tell other people about because it seems crazy. Those things are opened up by this physical separation. The fact that no one else saw this thing makes it sound super crazy. The fact that no one else was present when the killer came in and walked away from me makes me look guilty. Those kinds of things. It ramps up the tension. It makes all of the characters more vulnerable than they were beforehand, especially if you've separated all of the characters from each other. If you separated the characters from each other, then they also are struggling to make sure that the other characters are safe. And that can also heighten anxiety. And what you want to make sure that you're doing during a horror story is keeping the anxiety high-ish so that the readers or viewers are having an experience that they associate with horror. And that brings us to our next thing, which is abandoned or rundown locations. And this is really good for tone setting. First of all, abandoned and rundown locations always have that empty, I don't know what's going on inside of there. The inside of the building is full of possibilities. And many of those possibilities enter into people's fears. There are things like there could be spiders, there could be vermin such as mice and rats, raccoons, possums, unhoused people living there who might have harmful ideas about other people, who might be threatening. There might be someone in there who is hiding from the cops, who is willing to threaten the characters. All of these different things. If the place is abandoned and run down, the world is kind of your oyster inside of it, which does give people the chance to really come up with kind of terrifying ideas of what could happen. And those kind of terrifying ideas of what could happen are the kinds of things that cause a reader or viewer to heighten their own anxiety, and using those things to your own well-being and to your own benefit is super useful when you're trying to maintain the horror throughout a story. The next trope, one of my favorites, is the phones are out. Sometimes the phones are out, sometimes the phone is dead. Whatever it is, not having phones is super important to a lot of horror stories. There are various ways that you can get rid of the phones. As soon as the phones are gone, it takes away the idea of why don't they just call for help. So for instance, if the characters are all trying to hide from something, having phones might not be helpful because they might make noise, they might cause distraction, they might, the person might use the phone and actually, draw attention to where someone else is by calling them or whatever. Those things can cause more problems. While the phones might not be out, you might want to make a reason that the phones wouldn't work. And that's just kind of functionally to help preserve the isolation factor, which once again increases anxiety and makes the horror story feel more horrible. The next is inclement weather. While inclement weather in and of itself isn't spooky, the fact that inclement weather can do a number of things can result in it being spooky. So if you are in the middle of a snowstorm, other people aren't going to go outside, so you are less likely to go find help. If you are in a rainstorm, you might not be able to see what's coming at you, so you might not know what danger is out there. If you're in fog, you may not be able to see to know what danger is out there. In fact, the story in the movie of The Mist is all based on that. If you can't see more than a few feet away from you, how do you know that you can step out safely? So the last trope I wanted to talk about is the don't go there trope. This is one of the ones that I think is used in a more fun way more frequently, and so I really enjoy it. One of the things about this trope is that you'll see a sign that says don't go here, danger, or whatever, and then of course the characters cross that sign. Frequently that sign is going to be in a place where you think you might know what the danger is. You see them passing a sign that says danger and they're walking onto a shore, so you assume, oh, it must be that the tides might come in or something like that. And then you find out that no, actually the danger is that there are giant crab monsters that are going to eat them. That's one of the things about the don't go there trope that I really like, is that frequently the thing that you might think is the don't go there reason is actually not the reason. And so the characters are then kind of punked into thinking that they have it handled, when in fact they don't have it handled, because the reason they shouldn't be there isn't the thing that they have addressed. So that's kind of the short list. There are tons of tropes, so I mean I could talk for a lot longer, but I just decided to kind of limit it down to a handful, partly because of my recording time, partly because I just didn't want to take up 4 years of your time talking about tropes and writing when I could just talk about writing all day. So these are just some of the tropes that authors and writers of movies and things use to kind of heighten anxiety. It's important that horror isn't just about carrying around a bunch of anxiety and pushing anxiety through a whole story. Remember that having spikes and dips in the anxiety are really important. It's important to have comical release, false jump scares, minor storytelling that eases off the anxiety a little bit to allow the audience to have moments to breathe. If you just have a through line of just steady anxiety, you are going to exhaust your readers and your viewers. It may become unenjoyable to them. But I think that kind of does it for today. If you have anything to add, please let me know down below. What's your favorite horror trope? Did I include it here? Did I miss it? If I missed it, let me know down below. Maybe I can make another one of these. Also, don't forget that I have a Ko-fi and a Patreon. Those are both down in the description below as well. And once again, don't forget to click on those links down there. Give those authors a little bit of clicky-do because they deserve the clicks for all the work they do. And thank you guys again for being here. And thank you for tolerating if I seem a little weird, because this is my second time doing this video, because God knows I love redoing shit. You'll get a vlog from me sometime, but for now, this is what you got, and you're welcome, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye. What?